Alright, so I did a thing a few weeks ago, and I actually pulled the engine. The one downside is the engine is over there, and all that clutter. And I gotta manage to pull it apart and do a lot of fun stuff. So I need to move some stuff around. I need to use the hoist, pick it up, drain the oil, and probably whatever remaining coolant is in there, which is probably at least a gallon. And then start shredding it to pieces. A little bit of a zoom feature. And, pull off the remaining engine harness, spark plugs, random various accessories. There's one thing I need to be very careful about. I don't even know if I can get over here without tripping on stuff. Oh, God. Which side? They're on this side, if I can even see them. There they are. These are for the oil metering pump, which on a RX-8's 13B rotary engine, they literally eject oil at a proportional speed to the RPM into the intake, and it uses that and goes through the combustion in the exhaust, uses that to lubricate these side seals, corner seals, and apex seals, which we will see sooner or later, hopefully. So I need to be very careful with those because these kind of notoriously break somewhat easily. Oh, I can't really, there we go, got that to zoom in a bit. So I need to be very delicately careful with those because I am still going to keep those. I am going to do the sewn adapter kit, which we'll get to quite a bit later, I assume, which basically synthetic oil isn't meant to burn. It does to a degree, and it's kind of, expected because it always remains on cylinder walls and everything like that in a normal engine. Sorry, it's cold out here, so talking is not the easiest. So what the sewn adapter does is it specifically puts two-stroke oil of your choice in through the oil metering pump and cuts off your standard oil supply. That way you're not burning through your synthetic oil that's already in there and catching everything else and doing what it's supposed to do. So you can put better synthetic or synthetic blend in there. I think I'm going to do, what is it? One of Valvoline's products, probably. I've heard it works better than most. And then I can do, I think it is Idumetsu, basically rotary racing premix. Except rather than having to premix that, put that into with the fuel and potentially cause issues, which I don't want to do. And making sure and looking like some, I don't even know what, but you have to sit there with the funnel at the gas pump. You have to measure out your oil and put it in and then put your gas in. It looks a little creepy and almost like you're making a bomb, which, it is a combustion engine, but it's a lot of a mess. You have to carry around a bottle. This way I can just put a reservoir, which I can show you guys a bit later on too, a separate reservoir, and I can just keep that topped off with the premix, and the engine will feed that in as needed. So I'm going to move some stuff around, and hopefully the next thing you're going to see is this thing with the oil drained out and on a table. Cross your fingers. Alrighty. I got that up on the hoist because, not really much of a point in putting that up on the table and then trying to do anything else. It also gives me a nice, let's see if I can get my phone leveled. You can see that it's tilting somewhat downwards, so it's helping it feed almost every drop of oil down and into there. And then I filled up this Amazon, my brain's not working today. Arizona jug about a decent portion of the way. The oil looks decent. It looks freshly changed. I'm assuming whoever had this before me thought that would fix the issue. I also pretty sure to put a lighter oil in there than it's supposed to have. That being said, I don't recall off the top of my head what it's supposed to have. So, we're gonna let this finish draining out. And then when I pulled it out, I left the exhaust manifold attached as well as a decent portion of the intake manifold because, why did they do that? I didn't realize how far you had to tear apart basically the passenger side of the suspension in order to get all the bolts for the exhaust manifold. I'll try to have some pictures of those, mostly for my record, but also so you guys get to see and follow along as I do this as much as I'm capable of reminding myself to have you do. That didn't come out of the proper sentence. Oh, it's cold out here and I'm already sick. Anyway, so I had a train of thought. I think I lost it. Yeah, I'll have to get the exhaust manifold off completely now, and then just I'll probably go from that. I'll tear off the remainder of this harness. There's actually kind of two, a little bit bizarre, but there's a lot of sensors on these engines. This one is out, I think I've already said, it's out of a 04. And then while that's still going, I have, let's over here and see our parts. The internal temperature gauge is kind of sort of notoriously terrible at reading temperature. So I got a separate gauge, a bung that's going to go, I'm gonna have to research where it's supposed to go, but I think it is on the output of the coolant from the engine. I'll have to look up exactly where it's gonna go because I gotta cut the radiator hose in order to put that in. I got a colder thermostat because of how hot these engines run naturally, even after you put those gauges in to accurately read them. What is this? This here is the Sone adapter. I'll take that out when it's time to install it. I don't want to scratch it up or break it in the meantime, but there's that with its gasket. Hopefully this works for both, but there's two nuts on there that you need. What is that? 54 millimeter socket for. And yes, that's to a 1-inch. I'm going to take that down as far as I can. I have 1 inch to 1/2 inch to 3/4 to 3/8. Or wait, that didn't work. 1 inch to 3/4 to 1/2 inch to 3/8 to 1/4. Obviously, I'm not going to try to do that with a 1/4 inch, but I might try to start with the 3/8. I have no idea what the inside of this engine is going to look like. I can do up to 1/2 inch. I can borrow my dad's, it's an electric impact, and it does up to, I think, about 1,000 pound-feet of torque. If that doesn't do it, I might know some people with a 1-inch D-handle pneumatic. That'll definitely do it. At least let's hope so, because I don't have enough leverage and cheater bars and pry bars in order to get the nuts off that way. Oh, what else do I got? I got some new spark plugs for it. It has leading and trailing. I think that they are the same. I'm probably going to find out the hard way that they're not. I got new spark plug wires. I got coil packs that are for it. I don't think that these are OEM, but they are newer and better than the ones that are currently on there because they're not old as shit. I got some new belts for it because I figured if I'm going to go this far, I might as well replace those too. Obviously an oil filter. A new starter motor. The new one is in that box. That's the old one. And I think the old one is somewhat notoriously underpowered for the engine itself. That's why they often have, what is it? Oh, my brain's trying to think, but it's so damn cold. They often have a flooding issue because the starter doesn't have enough, I guess, more or less dynamic torque in order to start the engine quick enough in order to get it started, or turn the engine quick enough in order to get it started. So I'm hoping that's going to be a decent upgrade. I think it's about 1/2 horsepower better and just bolt straight in, and I don't have to worry about much, so that's going to be great. I got a new clutch for it because it is the manual version, and I figured I may as well, as I'm going this far into it anyway. The clutch, what was it? There was the it had the throw-up bearing, it had the release bearing, it had the clutch disc, and it had the pressure plate, and it was all less than $100. I figured that is the best investment I can make while, you know, what do they call it? While I'm in there. So, that has slowed down considerably on the draining. You can barely even see it. There it is. So once that finishes up, I'll tear off the exhaust manifold. Should be able at that point to set it up here on the workbench. Decent little space cleared off. And then I can start tearing into it a bit more. Probably getting the intake manifold off. This thing is for like an air recirculation doohickey. I'm not sure if I want to put the air pump back on. I kind of intend to sell this thing after I get it put back together. I only picked it up so I can play with a rotary, meaning like figuring out how it works, playing with it, rebuilding it literally from the ground up. We played around with piston engines long enough. I kind of just want to learn something new. So that thing is supposed to, when you're starting it cold, I believe, it is supposed to put exhaust. What does it do? It pumps fresh air into the exhaust. I think it's supposed to help save the catalytic converter. I think there is a catalytic converter on it. I don't think that this has the original exhaust on it, though. It is very loud, which isn't really the best way to tell. But I think it's stainless steel. I can't stick a magnet to it on anything but the catalytic converter. It's not like polished stainless steel, but I doubt it's aluminum. I doubt it's titanium, because that would be insane. I only got the vehicle for $1,500. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know why somebody would go and put a stainless steel exhaust on this thing and then give up on the engine work. Because so far, aside from my own procrastination, this hasn't been too terribly bad. I think that's about as far as that leak's going to go. So I'm going to get back to work. Talk to you guys here in a second. All right, a little bit of progress. It is on the workbench. Unfortunately, as you can see, the exhaust manifold is still on. You know, for a two-rotor, it sure does have 3 pipes coming out into the collector. All right, so that top bolt or nut there I was able to get loose. Those are apparently actually studs with nuts, and that one decided that it wanted to break the stud free instead of the nut. And I have that one, and down there I have that one, which is, there's no direct way to get on those with a socket. By the way, if you have one of these vehicles and you're having, I don't even know what kind of problems you would have, that is the inlet, or I guess, how would this work? Yeah, this thing forces clean air into the exhaust, but that's what that looks like. That's not a gasket, that's just a bunch of fucking gunk and rust. So, I don't know what kind of issues that might cause in the future, but it's something worth noting. Huh. I just noticed there's a weird thing there that looks like a hole, considering I can see daylight through it. That'll be something worth taking a look at later on, because that definitely, oh yeah, that's the other side of it. It doesn't look like it goes into the actual intake, just in the bracing, I guess that is, between the intakes, so that's fine. Kind of odd that it's there, though. So, I gotta manage to get those 2 nuts off, or even the studs. I think there's enough length to get the studs out, if I have to. But I'm not sure how. They're 14 millimeter. Either that or they are 7/16, but I don't have a 7/16 rinse to test. No, I did have a 7/16, and it was too small. No matter what I did, I couldn't get that on. So they're definitely 14 millimeter. The rounded end, I'll just go grab one right over here. The rounded end here, and I've tried doing it the other way around, is hitting up. Let's see if I do that, it zooms in right, yep. Sitting up against here. Can't get that to focus well. There we go. It's hitting against that thing. Jesus, that thing's covered in crap. This thing's been leaking oil for a while. The oil is, I think it's relatively new. I mean, as soon as you put new oil into any, come on, you can autofocus now. New oil into any engine, it pretty much turns black immediately. But this stuff looks relatively new. I ran it over to bolt. There's a drain plug, and it seemed decently fine. I'm not sure if that is the original clutch on this thing or not, but I am interested in looking at the pads and figuring it out. It was a very short engagement period, so I might try to look into, especially after putting in a new clutch with, oh god, too much work and too cold. After I put in the new clutch, especially with the new pressure plate and throw it and release bearing, I'm probably gonna have to adjust that clutch. I like a softer, more engagement style clutch. I know this thing's basically a sports car. Let me know what you guys think, because I plan to drive it around for a little bit, like get a couple thousand miles on it, make sure it's not going to do what it used to. But after that, I'm probably just gonna sell it, hopefully for close to $6,000 as of right now. Who knows how that'll change in the future. So I'm not sure if I should keep it sportier and have a short engagement, or if I should try to lengthen the engagement, because nobody really knows how to drive stick nowadays anyway. Zoom that out there so you guys get a better view. So let's get this thing up here and resting right now. I'm trying to figure out what I can actually do to get those bolts out. I can't even get a wrench on there properly I'm going to fight with it a bit more, and if I can't get it out, then I guess I'm going to have to think on it. I can start taking off other stuff now really easily. I mean, that one was already disconnected from the harness because I expected to get the entire exhaust manifold off. Thank God I didn't keep trying to fight that, otherwise I'd be procrastinating for a lot longer now. Alrighty, hopefully the next update's a good one. See you guys soon. Alrighty. Look at that. You can see the top of the engine. And there's a spaghetti mess. Yes, the fuel injectors are still attached. I can't get the connectors to come off. Jesus, that was a fight. I don't exactly know how the intake is supposed to come off. I think that this thing here is kind of like a gasket plate, and I should be able to, once I have it, that is loosened up actually right now, I should be able to just smack it off. I still got to look it over, make sure it's good to go though. Oh, Jesus, that's terrible. Oh, and my back hurts. Oh, gee. All right. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of chemicals in here right now. I loosened up all the bolts on the intake manifold after I got that spaghetti mess of wiring and, you know, installed a shop light over here so I could actually see what I'm doing. I think the next step now is... I'm trying to think, actually. I still got to get the intake off. Or not the intake, the exhaust manifold off. I have to be very careful with those delicate little basically auxiliary oil pump cable things. I keep forgetting what they're called. I'll remember it here in 4 seconds. After I get the exhaust off, I should be able to get the intake off the rest of the way. I might do that in reverse order because I think for the rest of the intake, I just gotta whack it loose. It's got 20 billion years of crud on there. Actually, it's almost exactly 20 years of crud on there, being 04. Once I have that off, let me think. I might leave the flywheel on because I'm pretty sure the nut I need to access and mainly remove is on that side. There might be one on each side. I don't exactly know. But if it is on that side, then I'm going to want this, and I'm going to want to 3D print something or manufacture something. That way I can lock that in place easily in case I can't get the nut off with an impact. And I need to use a breaker bar, because otherwise I'll just be spinning over the engine and not accomplishing anything. That being said, I think that's going to be an ordeal for next time. It's starting to get colder out here. My back's killing me. And next time might actually be a minute because we got what is today? I actually don't know what today is. What is today? Today is the 15th of December that I'm working on this in the middle of Indiana. So I don't think we're forecasted to get warm weather again for a little while, unfortunately. I got other stuff to do. So this might be where this kind of sits for a while. I might come out here, poke and prod, and do things like pull out spark plugs, which is kind of a miracle. I haven't done that already. I'm trying to put bolts back into their holes. That way I keep track of them, because this is... I've had this thing for over a year, and I've just been ripping it apart piece by piece by piece whenever I've felt like it or had time. It's going to be a project just a little longer. What are... Hold on a second. I'm going to use you guys. Those are more injectors, aren't they? I already pulled out 4. They obviously went there in the intake. If that's 2 more injectors, what the hell are they doing? Why does this thing have 6 injectors? I think it is kind of the sportier model. We're going to go outside and take a look real quick. I mean, sporty-ish. And I have my keys out here with me. It's got the... Oh, Jesus. You can see me and I look horrible. It's got the leather interior, obviously manual, 6-speed. Yes, it's 3D printed a Darth Maul lightsaber. What was on there before wasn't even OEM. It was some aluminum ball that was excessively hot and burned my hand several times. So I figured I was actually printing other Darth Maul lightsabers, and that one was the first failure. I was like, wait a second, I could just chop this down and I could use it as a shift knob and it looks badass. So now I'm actually printing another one so I can paint it up and make it look nice. Anyway, that has got the heated seats. So I think this is, I don't know, they don't really say anything useful on these. almost like the way that wheel looks now that the engine's not in there. It's more centered in there. Not the wheels in the back though. That's actually where the top half of the engine is at. Anyway, like I was saying, I don't think I'm going to replace their injectors. I might try to get new O-rings for them and clean them up though. That seems like it should be a decent and easy thing to do. Yeah, it'll probably be a little bit before you guys see me do much of this. You see the color of the car is red. Obviously, bits of the engine are. The new pressure plate for the clutch is not painted. I think it's actually silver. So that'll probably stay that way. I don't know why anybody would paint that. It's not visible. My brain was thinking, I keep losing track. Let me know if you guys think I should paint the engine. I mean, looks like the main irons, or the end caps rather, are red, and then the center ones are painted. You can see it's chipped there, but they're painted silver, even though they are silver enough as it is. So I could pretty easily clean that up and then alternate colors, make it all one color. Car is red, interior's black. I don't know. I almost like the idea of just polishing it up and making it all look like silver. Also, then I don't really have to paint it, and I guess they're cast. We'll be fine. But I don't have to paint it, and then it'll be really easy to tell if it's leaking oil. Alrighty, I'm ahead and now heal up my back. Thank you all for coming along today for the ride. Hopefully when this is done, you can go on for one last ride, and it'll actually be driving. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.